Okay, so this is how you're going to make the mask for Third Wolf Designs. This is your finished product, and this is where you start with. You're going to have your fabric. You're going to have the fabric for your binding. You'll have 2 pieces of elastic, and you'll need a safety pin. Okay, so we're going to take the piece of fabric. You're going to be looking at the actual design on the cover. It's going to be on the inside. You're going to bring the bottom side up and just bring it across to the top and match that corners. Now you're ready to sew. You're welcome to pin if you want to. I prefer not to pin. I don't have to now that I know what I'm doing. What you're going to do is you're going to sew about 2.5 inches from the inside to the edge on both sides at 3/8 inch. So you're going to take your sewing machine and your fabric. I've judged that it's about here for the 2.5 inches. So I'm just going to put the fabric in and we're going to sew. We're going to lock up both sides, the front and the back, so it doesn't unravel. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I found that it's easy to just flip it over into the other direction. Go right back to the same spot. And we're going to sew again. What these 2 spots are doing is leaving you a space open for the liner in the end when the actual mask is finished. So that's what you're seeing, okay? So we're gonna go to the ironing. Well, first of all, I'm gonna trim the threads so we don't have threads hanging all over the place. There and there. And then we hit the ironing board. Get that thing going. And you're gonna take where that seam is, kind of get it toward the center, because you're going to iron the seam open. So I'm going to find the spot, take the iron, which I hope is heated up now, and we're just going to iron that open. Open up there, buddy. Okay. There we go. Just make sure it's good and set. If you want to get in there close waxed, you can see it's just ironed open, that 3/8 inch seam. So now we're going back to the sewing machine. Now my machine, I take out the top part, the front end, just to give it a little bit more room for me to get to the needle. This gets a little awkward, but it does get easier as you go along. You're going to go in. I no longer do the front and back in the beginning for this. It's just, you're going to have it on a regular seam for top stitching, but you don't need to lock it up on each side. You're going to make sure no fabric is underneath. I'm telling you, I've done that before and I've had to pull out the thread to undo it and start over again. So be very conscious, aware. See where that is under there? Be very aware of that. Okay, so now we're just going to stitch the seam so that it lays open. And now what I'm going to do is just flip it. So now all that seaming is on the inside. Bring it around, make sure that it's... Now I don't take the needle out here. I just lift it up, turn it around. Another thing I always do, I have found, is I pull up a little bit to make sure the thread is not stuck really tight around the needle. Sometimes there's paint. Your needle may stop at a paint spot, and if it's stuck, your needle will end up jamming up. So always just pull that up to make sure your needle is loose, ready to go. And now we're just going to continue all the way around. Okay, here we go. Once again, we're going to just cut out the threads real quick. And we're back to the ironing board. Okay, so now here it is. It's coming along. You can see that's where your liner eventually is going to be inserted. So we're going to put the actual design on the back side. This is an eyeball. I don't really measure, but you'll see it's probably about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch at the top edge from where the seam is. So you're going to lay that flat. See how that is? It's all nice and flat. And this is where we're going to grab the iron again. And now we're going to just press it. So we're going to press it up real good. All the edges. I always flip it over just to make sure everything is looking good. Now you'll notice here, like it's kind of certain ones, sometimes the bamboo has a little stretch to it. So what I do is just kind of give it a little rub, and that actually brings it all the way over to the side. So that now you're good to seam. All right, so this is ready to go. So now we go back once again to the sewing machine. I'm flipped up to the back side again. Now what we're gonna do, in fact, here you can see the light better. You're gonna come in here, Lex. We are gonna top stitch right along here, along that same thread. Then we're gonna do like a base stitch down to here, and then the top stitch again here, and base stitch. If you prefer to do your same stitch all the way around, that's fine. I just find it goes faster on a bigger stitch so I can get my things done quicker. So you're not stitching the bottom part, only across the top part, right along the same thread. So here we go.